Today, we are diving deep into the economics of something you might think you know, but probably don't, the Maid Cafe. We're going to deconstruct the entire business model to find out how they really make money. And trust me, the food is just the beginning. So let's start with a puzzle. You've got a business pulling in, let's say, over $20,000 a month in sales. That sounds pretty good, right? But what if the owner only takes home about $3,000 in profit? You'd have to ask, where is all the money going? That's exactly what we're going to figure out. We're going to uncover why some of these places barely get by while others become wildly profitable.
Now, to solve this financial mystery, first we have to get one thing straight: what a Maid Cafe actually sells. And spoiler alert, it's not really about the coffee. Understanding this is the key to unlocking their entire business model.
Okay, check this out. It's a completely different mindset. In a normal cafe, you're paying for a product, right? A latte, a sandwich. But in a Maid Cafe, the food and drink are really just the price of admission. The real product is the experience. It's that unique world, that special atmosphere, and of course, the interaction with the staff. And they're not just servers, they're cast members, and they're there to perform.
So if that cute omelet with the ketchup art isn't where the big bucks are, where is the real money being made? Well, let's follow the cash.
Take a look at this revenue mix. Sure, food and drinks make up about half of all sales, but look at the other half. A full 50% comes from stuff you can't eat or drink, services and merchandise. And this is where things get really interesting for the business, because these items have insanely high profit margins. And here they are, the real moneymakers. Cheki, which are instant photos you take with a cast member, are huge. Same goes for playing simple games with them, buying original merch, or ordering a super expensive bottle of champagne during a special event, like a cast member's birthday. The most important thing to get here is that the actual cost to produce these things is next to nothing. It's pretty much pure profit.
You know, one of our sources put it perfectly. It called these photos a money tree. I mean, think about it. A photo might sell for $10, but the little piece of instant film costs, what, pennies? That means almost every single dollar from that sale goes straight to the bottom line. This is the absolute core of the profit engine.
All right, so we've seen how they make their money, but now let's look at the costs, because this is where the business model just completely flips the script on how a normal restaurant is run.
In any food business, you're always watching your FLR costs: food, labor, and rent. A typical cafe tries to keep food costs around 30% and labor around 25%. Well, Maid Cafes just throw that playbook out the window. They slash their food costs down to just 15%, but their labor costs can shoot up to 40%, maybe even higher. At first glance, that looks like a huge problem, but it's not. It's the entire strategy. So why on earth would they do this?
The answer is something called the back system. You can basically just think of it as a commission. When a cast member sells one of those high-margin items like a Cheki photo or one of those special drinks, they get a cut of the sale, usually 10 to 20%. This gives the cast a direct financial incentive to actively sell the most profitable things the cafe has to offer.
So you see, that massive labor cost isn't a weakness, it's a feature. It's a strategic investment. In a successful Maid Cafe, a high labor bill is actually a good sign. It means your cast is fired up, they're selling a ton of high-profit services, and that commission system is working exactly as designed. It's a key indicator that things are going right.
Now, when you combine high fixed costs like rent with revenue that depends on these super high-margin items, you get a business model with a ton of leverage. And that means it's often boom or bust. Let's look at a few different scenarios to see what this means in the real world.
Okay, let's break this down. Scenario A is the cafe from our original puzzle, making a decent 16% margin, but the profit isn't huge. But now, look at scenario B. They managed to double their sales. And what happened to the profit? It didn't just double, it more than quadrupled, and the profit margin exploded to 33%. That, my friends, is operating leverage. As soon as you've covered your fixed costs like rent, every single extra dollar you make from a photo or a game is almost pure profit that drops right to the bottom line.
Of course, a model with this kind of explosive potential comes with some very serious risks. We're not just talking about numbers on a spreadsheet anymore. Running one of these cafes means constantly walking a very tricky tightrope.
For one, managers have to navigate a legal gray zone. They have to make sure the interactions their cast has with customers don't legally cross over into entertaining, because that will require a totally different, much stricter business license and limit their hours. Beyond that, the competition is fierce, it's really hard to keep popular cast members from leaving, and you constantly have to worry about protecting your staff from problem customers. It's a lot to juggle.
So after looking at the revenue, the crazy cost structure, and all the risks, what's the final takeaway on this business model? What is a Maid Cafe, really?
The big takeaway is this: a Maid Cafe isn't really in the restaurant business. It's a high-risk, high-return entertainment business. And more than that, it's in the community business. Success isn't about how good the omelets are. It's about the ability to build a loyal fan community around the cast and the cafe's world, and then being able to turn that passion into profit through high-margin services.
And that kind of leaves us with one final thought. We live in an economy where basically every company, from your local coffee shop to a giant software firm, is trying to sell you an experience, not just a product. So, as that line continues to blur, what can other industries learn from this very specific, very high-touch business model that puts community and fandom at the absolute heart of its strategy? Definitely something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.